Hi everyone, my name's Tamara and I'm going to be doing the full solar eclipse in Libra reading. It's a solar eclipse, so this is all about looking back again, because this started with all the other eclipses and everything else that's gone on this year so far, and this is in the South Node. So we also have a square of Mars in Cancer, which is bringing up all those feelings too. Sometimes angry ones, being Mars. But it's certainly fiery. So South Node is affecting the past, and we're moving into the North Node. So this is about coming back once more again. And this is about attractions and repulsions. So let's get on with this, because we're going to be doing here, I'm just going to shift the candle over. Maybe it gives us a bit of light. I don't know, really. Okay, let's start with the air signs. I've already shuffled cut these cards several times. And we're going to be dealing off the top. So we're asking the universe to give us the top 12 cards here, and to let us know when we need to stop shuffling here. A few more times I'm getting here, and we need to cut them. Actually now, so okay, we're cutting these 3 times. This goes on top, and we're dealing off the top. So the first card we're going to pull here is going to be for our Librans on the air signs. We always start with the Libra, and this is about the artist. Great card here. I'm just going to look for my strong glasses here. So we're going to look at the light and the shadow, because this is about looking ahead and understanding the attractions and the repulsions, right, for this next period of time. And certainly whilst that full solar eclipse lays over us with its energy. So for today, tomorrow, to the end of the week, I would say this has to be a clear focus. This is the light attributes here is expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the 5 senses. And you know, Librans are really good at this, because many of them are artistic in some way in their lives. And this is about inspiring others to see life symbolically. And I'm a Libran myself, and I think we enable others to do this very well because of how we do our own lives and how we show up in our own lives. So this is for Librans to really bring that out. Maybe spend extra time this week just keying in, maybe channeling information about your artistic attributes, or maybe just getting in that room with lots of different medium that you can use and just playing around. I'll certainly be doing that with my clay this week. That's one of my areas that I just let the energy rise in me and do whatever I'm called to do. So on the negative side, you have to watch out here, Librans, that you're not... It's really got an interesting piece here about some Librans who go the whole way into the victim and pose as the just surviving artist. So we really have to get out of that, because we can pull in manifestations just as easy as anybody else. In fact, Librans are very, very good at this. They learned a lot of lessons in past lives. They're already, at that halfway point in the zodiac, and maybe it goes in order in past lives, maybe it doesn't, but we've certainly been around quite a while, and we will have learnt the manifestation techniques. But watch out for that you're not playing that role where you could really be beaming out your manifestation talents as well as your artistic, because it's how you think. I go to an artist market every Saturday to sell my wares and my talents. I do a couple of things there. And it's all about how you present your energy. And if you're sitting there really held back and closed off with like a force field around you, you're not going to sell anything. And this is about just relaxing into the moment, into the occasion, and allowing people to look over your wares and enjoy your energy at the same time. So it's all about how you do this and whether you make a living out of it. But this is not just about making a living out of it. It's about playing your role as the artist, Librans, for the next week intensely. Okay, we're now going on to Gemini. These are lovely cards. Gemini is the angel here. Lovely card again for the air signs. And this is about helping those in need with no expectation of return of anything that you give. And that's such a wonderful gift to give anybody, isn't it? Because we all have something to share. It's not about money, this card. It's about the abundance of life, abundance of our talents, abundance of our physical ability to give that has nothing to do with monetary affairs. Being an angel to somebody could be giving them a call every morning because they've been ill and you need to check that they don't need anything that day. It can be to take somebody under your wing because of the talents that you do have and to freely give of your talents, not charging them. Because this has become such a thing in this life, hasn't it? We're really at the peak of people charging for everything, including all those guys. This gives me a little opening here. All those guys from various successful books, etc., who I always get videos still. I'm still on video, sorry, not videos, emails. I'm still on email lists from these guys who did make a fortune out of things like The Secret, the book that changed life for a lot of people in many ways, but they now still charge horrendously high prices. And I always reply to these emails when I've got time and say, isn't it time you gave it away for free? You've already got everything you need for you and your family in this lifetime. Why are you still building financial stuff that just gets left in the bank or is left in properties, and then they maybe charging high rents for their properties? I mean, okay, they give to charity, but they are not real angels. Angels are not about the financial reward. So Gemini, get stuck into more of that for the next week. And shadow attributes here, obviously, is acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance as well. I mean, we do have people out there who pretend to be receiving information. I mean, I hope there's not too much of that out there, but I have known it when I've been out at events. Haven't done those for a lot of time now, but I used to do a circuit where I would go out with a lot of other channelers and readers, and I would listen to people telling other people what they wanted to hear rather than what they needed to hear. So that's not a good thing. But this is also about misleading people by talking about charitable organizations you're involved with, and you're really not giving very much. You may be giving like a tiny nth of a percent to charity and keeping like 99.99% for yourself, which is not being a philanthropist. It's not being that person who is an angel giving to others. We have to get this, don't we? This angelic thing in proportion now. Many rich people depend upon you seeing that they give every year a certain amount to a charity, and you so that they look good. They're not giving a percentage that's of any use at all out of their fortune. And we have to get out of this, because we're heading for the new world, which is full of peace and equality. And this totally gets rid of all these billionaires and multi-millionaires. So we have the Libra, the Gemini, the Aquarius here. And this is the victim card here. This is about playing the victim here. Let's have a look at the actual words on here. If you're in the light attributes, you'll actually be using the energy and your talents to prevent you from being victimized by others, or actually going into victimizing others yourself, you know, being the person who makes others into victims. But this is, in the light attribute, is not allowing yourself to do that. It prevents you from doing that if you pull in the light. So if you're already, this is about Aquarians who are already in the victim stance, where instead of going with the flow of life, they're trying to make other people victims, or they're victimizing others and blaming others for their situation in life, which is really not good, and definitely not for Aquarians, who should be leading the way in being all welcoming and all inspiring to others, because they are the ones who lead the Aquarian path through to the new world. So that has to stop. You know, don't allow yourself to feel like a victim. Have a look at it in the bigger picture, whatever's going on for you, Aquarians. I'm just going to see how they're calling out the shadow aspect here. This is that colouring on those cards. You all remember me reading these cards with really bad comparisons of colours, so you can't read them. Playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity. This really is a negative card. So Aquarians, pick up your feet now and walk forward with your full power, which you have an enormous amount of, if you swing in the right direction. If any victim thoughts come to you during this next week, sit down and start journaling what your position in life really is, because it's certainly not the victim. Okay, that's our air signs. That's a very interesting trio of cards there for air. Let's see what the water is. So we're going to start with Cancer here. And this is the light attributes on the warrior. It's about time we saw all Cancers. Cancerians coming into the warrior, full-pledged warrior, because they have spent a lot of this year, and now we have the square with Mars as this full solar eclipse goes ahead. We have the square of Mars in Cancer, so they need to pull this out on the positive side. And the light attributes of this is strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will. And we know you feel such a lot, Cancerians, but you've got to pull it out of the bag. If you don't pull it out now, you're keying yourself in right until the end of the year. And then in 2025, we still carry on with that attraction repulsion combination, because it's going to clear out completely by the end of 2025. You need to be the spiritual warrior. Bring through your outer and inner strength to face everything face on. The shadow attributes, I don't even want to read these. Trading ethereal principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering afflicted on others. This is really, really bad. This is Cancer in its worst shadow here. And it's talking about being really ethical with the work you do. Do not steal other people's work. Actually, last time I did I think it was the new moon, we got that. We got actual Cancerian's card was about copying other people's work. This is really interesting that we're now still dealing with them not working ethically and not really pulling on who they truly are and their sensitivity. So if they're using the material of others, or they're not really coming through in a really truthful way, then they're not pulling the power that they truly have. So this is really bad. We want you in this spiritual warrior, Cancer, and it's about time you did so, because this keeps coming up. I'm just having a look. Strength, skill, discipline, self-sacrifice in conquering their ego. This is go into more self-sacrifice, which will help you conquer the ego. Pisces, water sign. We've got the divine child. Isn't that wonderful for our Pisces? They are very like that in the child, I think, but sometimes it's more in the moaning child. So that will be the shadow, I'm sure. But this is about, they really have that potential. Being at the end of the zodiac signs, the end of the growth, they need to be totally healed and in their divine child. The light attributes here are innocence, purity, redemption, and it suggests a special connection with the divine. There are many Pisces out there that are on that journey, and some of them still, though, have inner child work to do, because this is what brings out the divine child. I always call it, with my clients, the universal child. What we're trying to do is have the universal child, but not the child who's still in pity, still injured, still unhealed from all the traumas it went through as a child when we were not truly protected. So you can call this the divine child or the universal child, but it really means you have to have healed all of it. Otherwise you end up with the shadow attributes here, Pisces. And that inability to defend oneself against negative forces. And that's so important right now. We know how sensitive you are, Pisces, because of your water element. But we really need you to be able to defend yourself against the negative forces, which are still in play and will be until the end, I think, of 2025. I hope I'm wrong there. I hope it's halfway through, because I think it can be if we all stand up as those links in the chain of security and power around our planet. Everywhere where you are on this earth, you need to take your rightful place as the starseed, as the light worker, so that we hold the force of the power of the light against the negative forces. Scorpio, what are we going to get here? This is Scorpio letting themselves down with the gossip side. Again, it's that water thing. They have a lot of feelings. They don't always work through those feelings on their own, and they don't always work through them at all. And what happens is they end up gossiping about the other person in the scenario they're going through. And this is very sick, really, isn't it? It's very low level. So come on, Scorpios, drop the gossip. Get on with your own work of becoming that strong Scorpio force that knows so well what I was just talking about the light and the dark, the death and the rebirth. They have the information embedded in their blueprints about that. So drop the sick gossip, low level energy which comes with that, and get into the real stuff. So the light attributes awakening every part of themselves that has consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust, which totally gets rid of that gossip side. Okay, so that's coming into their sovereignty, including the honor. The shadow attributes, when they're still in the lower energy, is thriving on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. Come on, Scorpio. It's way down the path to be still doing that. This can only be people who are really not solidly on their paths and with their disciplines, because this is low-level stuff. We don't want to talk about that anymore, Scorpio. We want the honor and the sovereignty and the honoring the trust of others and not betraying them. Right, let's do the fire. I had Aries in my mind when I said that. So for Aries, we have the eternal child. So let's see what the light attributes are for this, for Aries, who do remain quite childlike, with the power of their force to be seen, I have to say. The light, excuse me, light attributes here are determination to remain young in body, mind and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. I love those attributes for our Aries here. The eternal child in still keeping the childlike, not the childish, which they can do when they're in their shadow. Let's see how the card explains this. The inability to grow up and be responsible. Extreme dependency on others for physical security. So this is a lot about Aries not healing their inner child and actually still being codependent. So this, you need to do the work, Aries, and then you can really play that amazing eternal child where you have fresh eyes on everything, because you are really able to do that. I've seen that with Aries that I've been around, that they have that quality, but it's only when they've got rid of the miserable side of themselves that grew up through childhoods where they weren't totally seen in the way they should have been seen. And they still need to heal that if they are actually still codependent in any way on others when they are at the adult age. So we're rooting for you, Aries. Fire signs. Let's do the Sagittarius next. This is the Avenger here. So what is the universe asking you to look at in particular? This is the light attributes. If you're going to come into the positive, it's the desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. So this is being the Avenger, but for peace and equality, not the bitterness of the Avenger for just one's personal side. And the shadow attribute of this is resorting to violence in the name of a cause. When I think of the protesters, I was very much involved with the land movement for the rights for the normal people who should have rights to walk the land, to own the land, to have a presence on the land. And I saw that many groups were still involved in thinking that the only way to do it was to smash things up and to move with violence. And that never worked. It never won us cases. And I worked with the peaceful groups, and we did it with our intellect. We won court cases because we knew more than the people who had set up the contracts and things like that. We found many mistakes that those people made, thinking that we would never look into the details because we were just protesters. And certainly we never did the physical part, but there were many people who smashed up premises and caused riots along the streets, and we managed to do ours in a very peaceful way, but a very successful way. So we know this can be done even when we're dealing with the injustices of a whole society. It has to be done. And there's always a bit of intrigue with it. I know we used secrecy. We didn't tell people what we were doing and the route we were going down, and then we would just reveal what we found out. So that was the way to go. It was to have your own sovereignty, even though you were protesting, and use your sovereignty with intelligence and discipline. So Sagittarians, it's a great cause when you're out there fighting injustices and looking at injustices that have happened to you, but do it with dignity, do it with intelligence. Leo, our last fire sign here. Well, this is good for Leos. This is the Lover card. And this is keeping into the light attributes of the lover. And how are they going to do that in their lives? This is with great passion and devotion, an unbridled appreciation of someone or something. So this is keeping the fire going in the subtle ways, subtle energies, isn't it? Rather than the fire that burns within a Leo. So that's lovely. Let's read that again. Great passion and devotion. So the passion comes from their fire, but to use it with devotion and unbridled appreciation for something or even what you're doing in life. But don't let it turn into the fire without thought. So the shadow here is when the passion becomes obsessive, and that harms others. Self-destructive devotion. This is very much about either your business life or what you're passionate about, even on the artistic side. But to make sure you are coming from the right healed place with your passion. Because you are a fire sign, Leo, you can very easily turn that into the negative. And it becomes more of an obsession which is harmful to others and comes over in a destructive fire energy. So a lot to think about there, Leo, in the details of how your passion comes across and how you use your passion. The fire needs to simmer at a beautiful level, not burn people up all around you, because the fire energy is too high and too violent. We're going into Earth now, and we're going to start with Taurus. This is a strange card for Taurus. This is the slave. I wonder why we have the slave for Taurus. Earth energy. Let me just look at the attributes here. The light attributes is surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. So that's interesting. Whatever power you have in this life and whatever's going on for you personally, Taurians, you need to surrender it to the divine so that and I'm thinking it's going to be your stubbornness to hold on when you need to let go. Some of the Taurians I've known in life hang on until they're almost have to be forced to let go of whatever they're hanging on to. And they think they're going to lose power when they let go to the divine and to the right energies, but they don't. That's not what it happens. But it is harder because of their very earthiness and their very stubbornness to let go sometimes. I'm just going to have a look at the shadow attributes here, because that is asking, the light is asking them to surrender your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. So whatever you're hanging on to, do a little journaling with and then put your name in. If I was going to be doing that, I would be doing what I, Linda, am hanging on to and not surrendering to the highest power is. And then I would, if I couldn't identify it. But do you know, when we sit down and have a little think, we all know what we're hanging on to and we should be letting go of. And especially if it isn't yours to begin with, because I think some Taurians in the last few years have been hanging on to things that weren't theirs to hang on to. There's a lot of things going on. I've had clients involving Taurians and they've had a lot hanging on in their lives where Taurians just won't let go and allow them to have what is theirs. The shadow attribute is giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. So they can be in the negative, which is the complete opposite. But either way, they need to look at where their power is all being held up, whether they're giving it away to the wrong people or whether they're hanging on to something that they really do need to let go of. And if they don't do it within the next period of time, and remember, this next week is an opportunity to let go. Right? This next period is the opportunity to focus on what you need to change in your life for every one of us. Every one of us here in this 12 card lineup needs to let go in order to come out with the positive attributes. Taurines, we're rooting for you, Taurus. Earth signs here. So we go on to Capricorn. Capricorn has the student card. And you know, with what's happening astrologically, Pluto is hanging about in Capricorn, showing up all the things that need to change in the regimental systems in our lives which are not working for the collective. And it's shining a light on that right until November. Pluto does not move back into Aquarius until November. And then it will be starting its true 20-year run to expose everything. But first, it made a swift movement back into Capricorn to show up the old established views that have to go. And this is where Capricorns must become the student again, because Capricorns are linked into that institutional old society levels, even down to secret groups that only have elite people in who earn so much. There are all sorts of strange things across our planet which are still in place, but they are shaking now. They are knowing, in their inner knowing, they all know it's got to end. It's not for the Aquarian age. The light attributes for Capricorn are humility, devotion to knowledge, new knowledge, openness to lifelong learning. Come out of your institutions. Come out of your old boys networks. It's time. In fact, it's over the time when that should have ended. I can't believe there's also another negative here. Arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action. And that's like when they do get new knowledge, they have a hard job shifting their feet out of the cement of the old institutional ways to move forward with the new knowledge that they can even see is going to help them. So we need the ending of this, Capricorn. And if you don't bring it about voluntarily, it's going down. You don't want to be in the institutions and in the old ways when it goes down. This is including banking, investing, the stock market, anything that has an elite light shining over it. This is to do with the billionaires who are still hanging on to the collective's money. That money does not belong to one person. It is the resources for the whole world. Oh my, look what we're dealing with here. Taurus, we've done the Capricorn. It's a pity I didn't do this live so that I get somebody in the chat to help me. Taurus, Capricorn. I need to take a moment. Virgo, it's come back to me. Thank goodness for that. That's my own ascendant. I don't know how I forgot that one. The pioneer. Virgos, this is such a good card for you here. This is what needs to be highlighted for you during the next whole week, starting now, at least 7 days. The energies will go on for a while, but this is when it's going to be really acutely shining on the pioneer aspects for you. And what is it saying here for the light attributes? This is the worst colouring on any of the cards on this pioneer one. passion for creating and doing things that have never been done before. So this is Virgos bringing out that quality in them to really lead the way. And we know that Virgos are very much involved with like health and how you show up in your physicality in the world as well, but also the details of all of this. So you can truly be pioneers in things that interest you here, but you must come out of the rigidity. And even this may be a bit of the perfectionism here too, to carry out things as they've been done in the past. But you've got to come out into the new world. So you need to be thinking of all things on a pioneer level now. New ideas on health. We need completely new health systems. They are sickness systems. They've never been health systems. The pharmacy business is one of the biggest, I think it's the second biggest business in the world. It has nothing to do with keeping you healthy. It has to do with needing you to be sick and long term on their products. So we definitely need new ideas from all those Virgoans who are involved with health in a bigger way to help the whole collective. Let's see how that may affect you shadow-wise. Competition and all right, getting more involved with the competition, but also moving on from, they may have an idea, do it for a short while and then move on, and don't really bring it out in the real way. And you have to be a pioneer, don't you? It's like, think about all those travelers who arrived in the Americas in the early days and didn't turn back, didn't say, oh my God, this is too hard, we're turning back. I think some did, but the majority of them who built families and built their lifestyles in America carried on. They were the real pioneers. They're still called the pioneers. So Virgos, think about in your life over the next week, what are you supposed to be the pioneer of? Are you going far enough? Are you producing the new instead of the old that you've always hung on to? So moving forward, and I'm thinking about this one for myself as my ascendant is. I mean, I see myself as having lived the life of a Waisha, and I hope I carry on, even though I'm heading in the next week or so into my 76th year, as my birthday is in October. But I still see myself as a pioneer. So I'm going to be looking at that and making sure that every new idea that comes to me, that I'm still pushing that forward rather than the old style. So fascinating one here for Virgos. That's pretty explosive for our total solar eclipse week for every one of these signs. And when you think about it, them all being so different but part of the whole, all these aspects that have come out from every one of us brings us together as that collective, doesn't it? Made up of 12 totally different astrological signs. I'm going to leave this here, but I would really love you to give us a thumbs up by liking the video and even subscribing, because I'm in the midst of giving out lots of videos right now that you may want to see on all the awakening techniques you can use to be more in the now moment and more present in your lives, which is so exciting. And you won't get notifications unless you subscribe. And also, it would be great to get more likes and to see the videos being pushed forward and kept going for longer. Thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me into your sacred space today. Bye for now. Don't forget, just give us a like before you click off. Bye for now.